Welcome to another deep dive.
Yeah.
This time we're going behind the velvet ropes
Ooh.
into the world of Sean Diddy Combs.
All right. Excellent.
We have a really fascinating source this time.
Okay.
A recent interview with Diddy's former bodyguard,
Wow.
who goes by the name Big Homie CC.
Okay.
And this interview was done by Michael Franzese
Oh, wow.
on his YouTube channel.
Interesting.
And Big Homie CC's account of what was going on
Yeah.
at Diddy's parties is, let's just say, eye-opening.
Okay.
So our mission here is to unpack these allegations,
Right.
figure out what they could mean for Diddy,
Yeah.
what they could mean for other celebrities,
Sure.
and explore the bigger picture of power dynamics,
Okay.
celebrity wealth,
Yeah.
all that kind of thing.
For sure.
So first of all, I want to talk a little bit about Big Homie CC himself.
Okay.
I think what makes his account so compelling is that he's not just some random guy.
Right.
He's not a hanger-on.
Great.
He's a seasoned security professional.
Got it.
Originally from Chicago,
Okay.
which is actually going to come up
Oh,
a
okay.
little bit later in this deep dive.
Okay.
But he actually built a successful security company specializing in protecting women.
Interesting.
So it was through this work that he ended up at 3 of Diddy's parties.
Okay.
And this is how he could get this inside look
Gotcha.
at what was going on.
Yeah.
Now, what he describes
Yeah.
is pretty carefully orchestrated.
Okay.
He calls them layered parties.
Layered parties. What's that?
And it's like a descent into another world.
Interesting.
It starts out, you've got this initial party.
Yeah.
You know, everybody's there.
Right.
All the celebrities,
Yeah.
all the beautiful people.
Yeah.
Everything's upscale.
Yeah.
Look like the perfect image of, celebrity life.
Right.
But then phones are confiscated.
Oh.
Okay.
You can't record anything.
Right. Gotcha. And a select few are invited to a second, more exclusive party.
Oh, wow.
That's the next layer.
So, like, there's a party within a party.
Yeah.
Interesting.
And this is where, according to Big Homie CC,
Yeah.
the atmosphere changes dramatically.
Oh, okay.
He talks about open drug use,
Okay.
sex workers becoming more prominent.
Wow.
And there was even an incident
Yeah.
where his client, who was a Gucci model,
Oh, wow.
and her friends
Yeah.
got sick after having drinks.
Mm.
And this led to a confrontation with Diddy's team.
Oh, so he saw firsthand how they operate.
Yeah, so it gives him this inside look at what's
Sure.
going on behind the scenes.
Interesting.
He even describes
Yeah.
seeing Diddy himself
Right.
in a compromising position with 2
Yeah.
Eastern European gentlemen.
Okay.
He says, and later in the interview, he connects this
Yeah.
to Diddy's arrest for possession of 2C,
Okay.
which is a mix of ketamine and ecstasy.
Wow.
And this is while Diddy was already under federal indictment.
Oh.
So, it makes you wonder.
Yeah, what was he thinking? Doing that while under indictment?
Yeah.
That's crazy.
What level of risk was he willing to take?
Mm-hmm.
And this detail about the arrest, I think, is really important
Yeah.
because it suggests there's this pattern of behavior,
Right.
right? It wasn't just a one-time thing.
Okay.
He was allegedly engaging in these activities on a regular basis.
Got it.
And then there's this conversation that Big Homie CC mentions having with Bobby Valentino.
Bobby Valentino,
Yeah.
the singer.
Yeah.
Okay.
And this is where it gets
Yeah.
a little disturbing.
Okay.
Allegedly, Valentino
Yeah.
expressed a preference for trans women.
Okay.
And his reason for this preference was, let's just say it reflects a really disturbing objectification of women.
Oh, wow.
Now, we can't confirm this statement,
Right.
obviously,
Yeah.
but it does raise questions about,
Yeah.
what's going on in these circles.
Right. Are people being exploited under the guise of, luxury and exclusivity?
Exactly. And I think that brings us to probably the most serious allegations here,
Okay.
which are the drug allegations.
Right.
And Big Homie CC doesn't hold back.
Okay.
He names Rohypnol,
Okay.
GHB.
Wow.
He claims that these were commonly used at Diddy's parties, but the drug that he seems most concerned about is scopolamine.
Scopolamine.
Yeah. Have you heard of this?
I've heard of it, yeah.
Yeah.
But I don't know a lot about it.
Okay, well, it's pretty scary stuff.
Really?
And this is where it gets really interesting.
Okay.
Because he actually claims
Yeah.
that he tested positive
He did.
for scopolamine himself.
Wow.
He says.
That's pretty serious.
Yeah, and I think that lends a lot of credibility.
Right. He's not just making this up.
Right.
He's saying he was exposed to this drug.
Exactly.
Wow.
And it's known for inducing amnesia.
Oh, wow.
And making people more suggestible.
That's scary.
Yeah.
Very scary.
And his concern goes deeper than just, his personal experience.
All right.
He brings up the death of Diddy's ex-wife, Kim Porter.
Oh, yeah.
And a former bodyguard.
Okay.
Both of whom died from pneumonia.
Right.
And he points out that scopolamine poisoning can mimic pneumonia symptoms.
Really?
Yeah, so he's suggesting
Okay.
a possible connection.
I see.
Now, we need to be very clear here.
Yeah, of course.
There's no direct evidence
Right.
linking scopolamine to those deaths.
Yeah.
And we are not
We're not saying that.
trying to make that connection here.
Right.
But the fact that the bodyguard brings it up
Yeah.
does raise some serious questions
Sure.
about, the potential effects of this drug.
Yeah.
And then
Yep.
Big Homie CC drops another bombshell,
Okay. What's this one?
this time involving Ben Affleck.
Ben Affleck.
Yeah.
Okay.
And Jennifer Lopez.
Wow.
He claims
Yeah.
that Affleck was informed about the existence of tapes
Oh.
featuring Lopez,
Okay.
potentially compromising ones that were recovered
Yay.
during a raid on Diddy's house.
Oh, wow.
He says,
So there's like actual evidence?
we don't know if this evidence exists,
Right.
but it's what he's alleging.
Okay.
And to make things even more interesting,
Yeah.
Michael Franzese,
Right. The interviewer.
yes,
Okay.
says that he heard from a separate source
Oh, really?
that these tapes were a factor in Affleck and Lopez's divorce.
Wow.
Now, again,
Yeah.
we can't confirm that information,
Right.
but it does make you think about the lengths Diddy might have gone to
Yeah.
control the narrative.
Right. To protect his image.
Yeah, exactly.
Wow.
And just when you think it can't get any more complicated,
Yeah.
he brings up Jamie Foxx.
Jamie Foxx. Okay.
He alleges
Yeah.
that Fox's family,
Okay.
his daughter and mother,
Yeah.
reported Diddy to the FBI after Fox went into a coma.
Oh, wow.
He says-
That's big.
Yeah, and he actually references
Yeah.
Fox's Netflix comedy special
Okay.
where Fox jokes about Diddy giving him laced Advil.
What?
That led to the coma.
Oh, my God.
Yeah.
So he's saying it like as a joke,
Yeah.
but maybe it wasn't really a joke.
Right.
Right.
Wow, that's wild.
And the fact that his family went to the FBI
Yeah.
suggests that there might be more to the story.
Definitely.
Makes you wonder.
Okay, so we've got all these allegations.
Right. A lot of stuff.
A lot of serious stuff.
Yeah.
And then Big Homie CC reveals something else.
Okay.
Diddy made everyone at his parties sign NDAs.
NDAs. Yeah.
Preventing them from talking about what went on
Oh, wow.
until 20 years after his death.
20 years after his death. That's
Yeah.
crazy.
He says,
He was really trying to keep things quiet.
right, and it makes you wonder,
Yeah, what was he so afraid of?
exactly, what was he trying to hide?
Right.
And both Big Homie CC
Yeah.
and Michael Franzese
Yeah.
question how Diddy could operate with such impunity
Right.
for over 20 years.
For so long.
Right.
Yeah.
And they speculate that maybe he was an informant.
An informant.
Yeah, for law enforcement.
Wow.
So that's a theory
That's a big theory.
that keeps coming up in this interview.
Yeah.
And it's worth noting
Okay.
that Suge Knight,
Keir's Knight.
who was also interviewed by Franzese,
Right.
has made similar claims about Diddy.
Really?
Yeah.
So this isn't the first time we're hearing this.
Right.
That's interesting.
So it does make you think.
Yeah, if he was an informant,
Right.
what information was he giving?
Exactly. Who is he protecting?
Right. What was he getting in return?
So many questions.
Yeah.
And it makes you wonder if all of this
Yeah.
ultimately led to Diddy's downfall.
You think so?
I don't know.
Yeah.
But the bodyguard believes that Diddy's downfall started with his lawsuit
Okay.
against the liquor company that owns Ciroc
Oh, yeah, I remember that.
and his ambition to expand
Right.
beyond the entertainment industry.
So he was trying to do too much.
Yeah, he's trying to become this
Right.
business mogul.
Right.
You know.
Yeah.
And I think the bodyguard's theory is that Diddy overplayed his hand.
He got greedy.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And he attracted unwanted attention
Okay.
from authorities.
Who are maybe already watching him.
Right.
Okay.
Who may have been aware of these activities but hadn't taken action before.
Okay.
And the bodyguard doesn't hold back
Yeah.
when he's discussing Diddy's potential fate.
Okay.
He suggests jail time, cooperation with authorities,
Wow.
even death
Yeah.
as possible outcomes.
Wow. He's really.
Yeah. He's not
That.
pulling any punches.
Yeah. Yeah.
He predicts that Diddy will have to give up people
Oh, wow.
to avoid a life sentence.
So he thinks he's going to snitch.
Yeah.
Ooh.
Given the seriousness of the charges.
Yeah.
And the potential evidence against him.
Right. Right.
So it's a pretty bleak outlook.
Definitely.
And it really highlights the consequences
Yeah.
of living this life.
A life of secrets
Yeah.
and lies.
Shrouded in secrecy and illegal activity.
Right.
What's really interesting, though,
Yeah.
is that in the midst of all this,
Mm-hmm.
you know, these shocking allegations about Diddy
Yeah.
and the entertainment industry,
Uh-huh.
the conversation actually takes a surprising turn.
Okay.
Both the bodyguard
Yeah.
and Michael Franzese
Okay.
shift their focus
Okay, where do they go?
to something completely different.
All right, I'm intrigued.
The devastating gang violence
Oh, wow.
that's plaguing Chicago.
Interesting.
Yeah. And it's a really powerful transition.
Yeah.
And it speaks to their shared experiences.
Right. They both come from that world.
Yeah. They both grew up surrounded by violence.
Mm-hmm.
They've witnessed the impact
Yeah.
firsthand.
For sure.
They lament the loss of life,
Yeah.
attributing it to a lack of leadership,
Mm-hmm.
the war on drugs,
Uh-huh.
and interestingly,
Yeah.
the glamorization of violence in hip-hop music.
Wow.
That's a big statement.
Yeah, and I think that's a really poignant observation because it connects back to Diddy's world.
Right.
Right.
It all comes full circle.
Exactly. It suggests that this culture that allegedly thrives
Yeah.
at his parties,
Right.
this culture of excess power and violence,
Right.
isn't confined to those gatherings,
Okay.
but it can permeate society as a whole.
Yeah. It's a much bigger problem
Right.
than just Diddy's parties.
And it makes you wonder
Yeah.
if the allegations against Diddy are true.
Right.
What responsibility do celebrities have
Yeah.
for the messages they promote
Mm-hmm.
and the impact their actions have
Yeah.
on others?
Interesting question.
Yeah, and we'll definitely delve into that more
Okay.
as we continue this deep dive.
Looking forward to it.
But what's really fascinating
Yeah.
is that both the bodyguard,
And Franzese don't just lament the problem.
right,
They propose a solution.
solution.
Yeah. They express a desire to actually work together.
Really?
Yeah.
Wow, that's amazing.
To make a difference.
That's great.
Combining their unique backgrounds
Okay.
and their resources
Interesting.
to provide alternatives
Yeah.
to gang life for at-risk youth.
That's fantastic.
They talk about leveraging their connections,
Yeah.
the bodyguard's street credibility,
Oh, wait, he's got that.
and network in Chicago,
Uh-huh.
and Franzese's experience
Yeah.
navigating these complex systems.
Right. He knows how to work the system.
Yeah,
Oh.
and negotiating with different factions.
Wow. So they've got a plan.
They do.
Yeah.
And they specifically emphasize mentorship.
Mentorship. That's huge.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And creating opportunities
Yeah.
for young people to escape this cycle of violence.
That's great.
So it's a glimmer of hope.
Yeah. Little light in the darkness.
Yeah.
It's nice to hear that.
Amidst this, rather bleak narrative.
Definitely.
And it definitely makes you wonder
Yeah.
if change is really possible.
It's a good question.
Right. Can these figures,
Yeah.
like Big Homie CC
Uh-huh.
and Michael Franzese,
Yeah.
with their unconventional backgrounds,
You're right. They've seen a lot.
really make a difference?
It makes you think.
It does.
Yeah, for sure.
It's a question that lingers.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Yeah. It really is a good question.
Right. And I think it's worth exploring.
Yeah.
They've both seen
Mm-hmm.
the consequences of this kind of lifestyle
Mhm.
firsthand.
Yeah. Up close and personal.
And yet they still have this hope
Yeah, that's amazing.
that things can change.
Mm-hmm.
And they're not just talking about it in some abstract way.
Right.
They have a concrete plan
Okay.
to use their resources and their connections
Yeah.
to actually make a difference.
I like it.
Right. So
Yeah.
you've got the bodyguard with his street cred and his network in Chicago.
Mm-hmm.
And then you've got Franzese,
Yeah.
who knows how to navigate
Right.
these complex systems.
He's been there.
Right. He knows how to work the system.
Yeah.
And they want to combine all of that
Wow.
to help these kids.
That's amazing.
So they're really focused
Yeah.
on providing alternatives
Okay.
to gang life.
Right. Giving them something else.
Yeah, some other option.
Strive for.
Yeah, and they talk a lot about mentorship.
A mentorship. That's so important.
I know. And creating these opportunities where
Yeah.
kids can see
Uh-huh.
that there's a different path,
Right. A better path.
a path that doesn't involve
Yeah.
violence and crime.
Exactly.
And they also acknowledge
Hmm.
the role of hip-hop music
Oh, yeah. That's a big one.
in, glorifying
Right.
and normalizing violence
Mm-hmm.
And they're not saying that hip-hop is solely to blame,
Right.
but they're saying it contributes to this culture where violence is seen as a solution.
Right. Not a problem.
Yeah, and it made me think about,
Yeah.
all the messages that we consume, the stories we tell ourselves,
Yeah.
and how that shapes our reality.
Right.
And, if we're constantly seeing violence celebrated,
Yeah.
it's hard to imagine a different future.
Exactly. It becomes normalized.
Right.
Yeah.
So it's a complex issue
For sure.
with no easy answers.
Definitely not.
But I really appreciate
Yeah.
that they're willing to talk about it,
Me too.
and to acknowledge
Yeah.
the role that culture plays.
Right. It's not just about the system.
Right.
It's about the culture too.
It's about everything.
Yeah.
What do you think?
I think it's a really ambitious plan,
Yeah.
but I also think it could work.
You do?
Yeah. I mean, they both have so much experience in
Right.
their respective worlds,
Yeah.
and they're both passionate about making a difference. So I think they could really make a difference.
Yeah. I mean, it's an uphill battle.
For sure.
The fact that they're willing to have this conversation
Right. To even try.
is a step in the right direction.
Absolutely.
And it makes me think about
Yeah.
how change often starts with these uncomfortable conversations,
Mm-hmm.
where we're willing to
Yeah.
challenge the status quo.
And listen to each other,
Exactly.
even if we don't agree.
And I think maybe their unconventional backgrounds
Right.
actually give them more credibility
Yeah.
and a wider reach.
They can connect with people
Yeah.
who wouldn't normally listen.
Right. Because they've been there.
Yeah. They've seen it all.
They've seen the darkness.
Yeah.
Okay. So
Okay.
we've talked a lot about,
Yeah.
this kind of unexpected turn in
Yeah.
the conversation.
Yeah. Towards gang violence.
But I want to circle back
Okay.
to Diddy
All right. Let's get back to Diddy.
and his alleged activities.
Okay. Yeah.
Because Big Homie CC makes some additional observations
Yeah.
about the entertainment industry as a whole
Yeah.
that are pretty eye-opening.
I'm listening.
He talked about the prevalence of NDAs,
Right.
the culture of silence
Yeah.
that surrounds
Mm-hmm.
celebrity behavior,
Right.
and how wealth and power can create this sense of invincibility.
Yeah. They think they're above the law.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And it shields people from accountability.
That's a problem.
It is a huge problem.
Yeah.
He talks about,
Yeah.
how some celebrities,
Mm.
once they reach a certain level,
High of fame and fortune.
yeah, they lose touch.
They lose touch with reality.
Yeah. And they engage in behavior that would not be acceptable
Right.
in any other context.
Totally agree.
He even tells this story about Bobby Valentino again.
Oh, Bobby Valentino again. Okay.
Yeah, where he allegedly
Yeah.
expresses this disturbing preference.
Right. For trans women.
Yeah. And again, we can't confirm that this statement is true,
Right.
but it just,
It's disturbing.
it speaks volumes
Yeah.
about the distorted perceptions of power and entitlement
Mm-hmm.
that exists in these circles.
It's a problem.
It is a problem.
Yeah.
And, it's an example of how
Yeah.
objectification and exploitation
Mm-hmm.
can become normalized
Right.
in a culture that prioritizes wealth and status
Yeah. And pleasure.
and pleasure
Above all else.
above everything else.
Yeah. It's sad.
And it makes you think
Yeah.
about, all the people
Right.
who are harmed
Yeah.
by this kind of behavior.
Who don't have a voice.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And it brings us back to that question of responsibility,
Yeah.
right? If these allegations are true,
Mm-hmm.
what responsibility do celebrities have
Yeah.
to protect those around them?
To protect the vulnerable.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Does their wealth
Yeah.
and their influence
Yeah.
absolve them
Well, do they get a pass?
of ethical consideration?
That's been great.
Or does their status
Right.
come with an even greater obligation
You would think so.
to act responsibly
Yeah.
and to protect those who are vulnerable?
Mm-hmm.
It's a tough question,
It is.
but it's a question that we need to be asking.
For sure.
And, this whole case
Yeah.
really serves as a reminder
Mm-hmm.
that power
Yeah.
without accountability
Right.
can be really dangerous.
It can be devastating.
And it's a reminder that
Yeah.
we need to hold people accountable,
Even celebrities.
even celebrities.
Yeah.
But before we wrap up this deep dive,
What?
there's one more detail I want to go back to.
Okay.
Remember that point about Diddy being seen
Oh, yeah.
with those two men?
With the two Eastern European gentlemen.
Yes.
Yeah.
And the bodyguard later connected that
Uh-huh.
to his arrest for Tusi.
Right.
And that arrest
Yeah.
happened while he was already under federal indictment.
While he was already under indictment, so he was being watched.
Right. Presumably being monitored,
Wow.
and he still got caught
He didn't care.
with this drug.
Yeah. He felt untouchable.
It's crazy.
It is.
It makes you wonder,
Yeah.
about his state of mind.
Right. What was he thinking?
Right? Was there something else going on?
Mm-hmm.
Was he using his connections to protect himself?
Like we were talking about before.
Yeah, the informant thing.
Yeah.
Were the people around him aware?
Yeah. Were they enabling him?
Of what he was doing?
Right.
So many questions.
Yeah.
And unfortunately, we don't have all the answers.
Not yet, anyway.
Not yet.
Maybe someday.
But it's clear that there's a lot more to this story
For sure.
than meets the eye.
Definitely.
And, you know, as more information comes out, we might find that these parties were just the tip of the iceberg.
Yeah, it could be a much bigger story.
And it's a story that forces us to confront some uncomfortable truths about the entertainment industry.
Right.
About the allure of power.
Yeah.
And about the lengths that some people will go to protect their secrets.
To keep those secrets buried.
Exactly.
Wow. It's a lot to think about.
It is.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah, it's a lot, isn't it?
A lot to unpack.
And I think what's so interesting about Big Homie CC's story is how he connects Diddy and these allegations to these broader societal issues.
Right. Like he's saying it's not just Diddy.
Right.
It's bigger than that.
It's bigger than Diddy.
Yeah.
You know, like his observation about hip hop.
Oh, yeah.
And the glamorization of violence
right.
suggests that the problems he saw at these parties are not just isolated incidents.
Right. It's a reflection of something bigger.
Exactly.
Yeah. Cultural trend.
It makes you think about, you know, the line between entertainment and reality.
Yeah. It gets blurred.
Yeah, how it gets blurred and what we consume.
Right.
The things that we celebrate can have these real-world consequences.
Definitely they do.
And it makes me think about, you know, our own complicity
as consumers.
As consumers. If we're supporting artists and celebrities.
Who are promoting these things.
Who are promoting these things.
Yeah.
Are we contributing to the problem?
Right. We have to ask ourselves that question.
It's tough.
It is.
It's something to think about.
Yeah, for sure.
So as we wrap up this deep dive,
I
think we're left with a lot to ponder.
Yeah, definitely a lot to process.
This interview with Big Homie CC has opened our eyes to some pretty disturbing things.
Yeah, for sure.
About Diddy and the entertainment industry.
Right, and how much you don't know.
Exactly.
Yeah.
But it's also raised these questions about, you know, these broader issues.
Right, it's not just about celebrities.
Right.
It's about all of us.
Gang violence.
Yeah.
The glamorization of harmful behaviors.
Yeah, what are we doing?
And it's a reminder.
Yeah.
That the choices we make.
The stories we tell.
The stories we tell.
Yeah.
Have a ripple effect.
Definitely.
You know, they influence not just our own lives.
Right.
But the world around us.
Our communities.
Yeah.
The people we interact with.
It's a call to action.
It is.
I think for all of us.
Not just celebrities.
Not just celebrities.
Right.
To think about, you know, what role are we playing?
Yeah.
In a system that often values profit.
Over people.
Over people.
Yeah, that's the problem.
And how do we hold people accountable?
Right. How do we hold the powerful accountable?
Especially those that we admire.
Yeah, especially those that we look up to.
And how do we create a culture that prioritizes safety,
respect,
equality
for all?
That's what we need.
That's what we need.
Yeah.
And I think that's a good place to leave it.
I agree.
We've given you a lot to think about.
A lot to chew on.
A lot to chew on.
Yeah.
And we hope this deep dive has given you some new insights.
Some new perspectives.
Some new perspectives.
Yeah.
And maybe inspired you.
To think a little bit differently about the world.
To look at things in a new way.
Thanks for joining us.
Yeah, thanks for listening.